Back, but you're looking for the same thing, but it's a new thing. Check out this subring. Good evening, everyone. This is your boy D Freezy, aka Cleezy for Sheezy. This is the Gospel of Cleezy, the podcast. Um, been a long time. I've been gone since before the new year. So happy new year to everyone. Hope you had a peaceful and safe holiday, and I hope everything worked out good and you got everything you wanted from the fat white man that comes breaks in your homes. Yep, I'm on one today, so I'm been a little PG um, up until this point. Uh, if you got children listening, all zero listeners who's tuned in, I assume everybody's probably looking at uh, Buffalo and Baltimore right now. Baltimore's got a little work to do. I'm pulling for Lamar. I want to see Lamar and Jaden Daniels duke it out, but we'll see what happens. Third quarter, 21-13, I believe I just saw Buffalo. So play it in the snow. We're gonna see what happens. Come on, Lamar. Come on, Derrick Henry. Where you at? We need you. Um, I'm not really a. I used to be a super hardcore football fan. I was a Denver Broncos fan for a long time. Thought John Elway, because of John Elway, he, in my opinion, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. I was down with him when they lost early in his career. I think he lost two Super Bowls in a row, and then he finally at the end won two. But when everything happened with Colin Kaepernick, left a bad taste in my mouth. I boycotted the NFL for uh, 3 or 4 years. And when the pandemic happened, it wore me down, and I, was in the house and nothing else to do. So I started kind of watching again. I watch. I don't really pull for anybody. I'm pulling for everybody black usually. If you didn't know that, um, you haven't been listening to me very much. So yeah, let's get on with the show. Uh, I want to start off local. Um, I want to send my condolences and um, you know to the family of a young boy. I think his name is Arian Blend. Hang on, Arian Clendon, and 15-year-old boy who was shot and killed. We got a snow a week ago. He was outside, 15 years old. He was outside playing in the snow, and he was shot and killed um, the Saturday before the 13th. Um, yeah. So uh, shout out to his mother and their family, and we mourn the loss of this young man with you. And um, I want to say to any young people who might hear this or might tune in at some point. I know you don't have time for me right now because of the football game. Um, it's like I always say, the children are our future. To quote Whitney Houston, greatest love of all. The children are our future. And I'm not going to tell any young person they don't have a right to be angry at the condition that black people have been placed in. But your enemy is not anyone. The people who put you in that condition are not, by most accounts, people who look like you, and they're not your peers. So if you can do anything to prevent um, the premature death of anybody who is a peer of yours or in your generation or age group, please do so. Um, Life is precious. We hear that all the time. It's cliche, I know, but it is, and it's something that you can take away, but you cannot give back. Um, you know, and just think for a minute how your family would feel if something happened to you before you do something to someone else's family. Everybody has family that they love, that love them, and don't want to see anything bad happen to them, especially not so early in life. So, um, you know, I'm the chairman of the Black Liberation Action Committee of Durham. We run a conflict resolution line. Uh, I put it up on my personal Facebook page and the Black Liberation Action Committee Facebook page all the time. The number, it's the same number as call in here to the show. While I'm thinking about that, let me put that up because I don't ever remember what it is. Yep. And if anybody's listening and wants to call in and talk about anything that I'm going to talk about tonight, please feel free to do so. I will pick it up and we'll have a dialogue. It'll be cool. But yeah, that number 910-430-9595 is also the conflict resolution number. If you're in a situation and you need someone to talk to, please call it. If we can do anything to prevent the untimely death of anybody in our community, we are here to do it. So wanted to say that. So yeah, one shout out to them. Also, staying here in Durham for a minute. This is a holiday weekend. I'm off tomorrow. Whoop whoop. Martin Luther King's birthday is tomorrow. There's also some other things going on. I've been hearing people talk about something going on, maybe in DC. I don't know what that is, but it's not something that sounds like I'll be interested in. So I won't be watching or participating in that. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Right. But yeah. So I just wanted to send my condolences to the family of young Arion and take this as an opportunity to ask all the young people in Durham and in the nation, which I'm sure I got probably like 12 views, so I'm probably not nationwide, but stop shooting each other. Stop shooting each other. Thanks, Dr. Bobby Rush. He said, The Psycho, I can't remember what the name of the book is. Hold on, I'll tell you. I should have been better prepared, Dale. Arclesia. The Psychopathic Racial Personality. That's the name of the book. Psychopathic Racial Personality. I'm gonna put that in the chat for people who want to do their research. You always hear that. The psycho. Don't judge me because I'm spelling out loud. I count on my fingers too. Racial personality. Yep. So Dr. Bobby Wright says in that book that blacks kill blacks because they have not been trained to kill whites. Sister Soldier repeated that and was subsequently excoriated by Bill Clinton when he was running for president. He took that as a talking point and took it upon himself to admonish, chide, and otherwise berate the sister for saying that. Shout out to Sister Soldier. She is a warrior right now today, to the best of my knowledge. And she was a warrior for having the courage to say that. But there's some truth in it. And I'm not advocating the untimely demise of anyone, but that's just what he said. So moving right along. Other thing, as I mentioned, I am chairman of the Black Liberation Action Committee of Durham. It's a political action committee dedicated to the liberation of the Nubian, also known as Black people, also known as African Americans, also known as Natives, also known as Nubians. and through economics and politics. That's what we're dedicated to. We're unaffiliated with either major political party in this country, Democrat or Republican. We're neither. We are for the interests of our people first, and whichever side wants to see to those interests, we will entertain a discussion with them. So, attended the PAC 1 meeting on Saturday, had a representative from the Durham Police Department there. He said, as of Saturday, I live in East Durham. Um, he said, as of Saturday, there had been no homicides for 2025 in District 1, which is East Durham. Shout out for that. Let's try to keep that streak going. Uh, you know, it goes back to the young brother who lost his life. Um, let's try to keep that number where it is now, if at all possible. So the other thing is there is a team. We have issue with the homelessness here in Durham, as in most major or medium sized cities in the country. Um, there is a city funded organization called the Heart Team. There's some beef between. Sounds to me as if there's some beef between the Heart Team and the police department. In my opinion, it's partly because the budget for the Heart Team comes out of the police department's budget, to the best of my knowledge. So um, everybody's worried about their marbles being taken away. But what was said was that the Heart Team has started. They have been giving tents to the homeless people, and uh, that presents a problem because if they don't own any property, then anywhere they erect a tent is going to be trespassing. So there are some bureaucratic beef between these two organizations. But what the Heart Team does primarily is, if there's a 911 call and there's a mental situation or any kind of mental health issue going on, they will, with the assistance of the PD, go in and try to intervene with the police on standby. And the hope is that um, a mental health situation doesn't turn deadly, because there are trained professionals there. So there's some merit to what they're doing. This issue with the tents, I don't know. I don't know where I fall with that yet. I tend to be empathetic to the homeless, because though I've never been homeless, I um, realize how easy I could be. Like some people say, there but for the grace of God go I. So I always try to remember that, a few um, economic surprises, and I could be one of those people. So I try to be sympathetic and show empathy and grace to those people. One of the sisters in the PAC 1 meeting said we had just lost a person who froze to death in their car, and I always put myself in the situation and think to myself, what kind of mind state would I be in if I had no alternative but to sleep in my car on below 32-degree uh, night, and that led to my death. And my heart and it goes out to that person. I didn't get the name, but yeah. So those are some of the things going on in Durham. We are going to continue to call for reparations in the of the type that is being. What I would like to see is the type that's being implemented in Evanston, Illinois, where they are giving people reparations around housing, because housing is such an issue in Durham. Just talked about the homeless situation. The average price of a one-bedroom apartment in Durham, I believe the last time I checked, was about $1,600. Um, and I don't know if anybody's aware of an article. I can't remember where the article was, but it basically said that If you make minimum wage, there's nowhere in America you can afford to live. Um, so what we see in Durham is a bunch of high priced property that hardly nobody can afford, that remains vacant for months and years, while people go unsheltered. And I don't know about you, but I think there's something wrong with that. I talked to at least one city council person about finding an area in the city or county, and uh, putting up communal bathrooms, some kind of resource center of some type, and building tiny homes. And what I was told was, we looked at it. I don't know what I was supposed to glean from that. You looked at it, but in my opinion, they need to do more and look at it. There needs to be a place, um, where these people can reside without worrying about being pushed around. Because basically, what the police officer said was that, when they're called, they just make a move, and they just move to a different place, and that's not a solution, in my opinion. But I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on that. But that's just the things that I'm hearing when I'm out in the community, um, and I wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that. So, yeah, tomorrow there's something happening with the government. It's already, the parties have already started, and let me see. At the state level, not too much going on. Josh Stein is the governor of North Carolina. He has been working to try to implement some things ahead of the incoming presidential administration, to try to protect citizens of the state of North Carolina from some of the things that are expected. So, shout out to him. There's not been too much of a dust up yet. The General Assembly is Republican controlled, so there will be fireworks. They just have not started yet, I'm sure. In the state General Assembly continues to uh, underfund public education in this state. And here in Durham, we've had an issue with uh, transportation for children to school. I think they implemented some policy of that they would provide the Durham Public Schools would provide transportation to children 4 days a week, and they have to walk if they live within a mile of the school 1 day a week, which presents a problem in some areas. My area being one, because there's no sidewalks. And the elementary school that's closest to me, um, there's probably a lot of children that are a mile from there, but I don't want to see them and their parents walking on the shoulder of the road, which there is very little There's not much of a shoulder. I cringe every time I pass somebody walking, because I'm trying to get over to the center to make sure I don't hit them. And when it's night time, it's even worse. But I don't think we have to worry about the children walking to school at night. But um, that's just more context I'm trying to provide. So there was I got on social media, I guess it was yesterday, and everybody was canceling Snoop Dogg. It was Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg, and I was like, what? What did Snoop do? Snoop is like a global ambassador. Everybody loves Snoop. He's got cooking shows with Martha Stewart, and he's on The Voice, and or whatever he's on, and like everybody loves Snoop. So, come to find out, there was an event uh, billed as a crypto ball celebrating the inauguration of the incoming president, and performances uh, were done by Snoop Dogg, Nelly, and Ricky Rose, who was formerly called Rick Ross until the real Rick Ross got out of jail and said, "Hey, man, um, if you're gonna use my name, you can break me off, and I don't. I'm pretty sure. I just heard Rick on the Carl Nelson show. Shout out to Carl Nelson. Man, he provides a venue and information that you really won't find anywhere else. He's out of WBOL in Baltimore or DC. Um, if you can catch it, it's early in the morning. If you can catch it, you will be enlightened. But I caught Rick Ross on there, and he said, um, they did the hoodoo on him as far as the case against Rick Ross for using his name. They said that he should have filed this case 2 days before he got out of prison. So statute of limitations had run out or something to that effect. But Rick Ross, I think the rapper. I think he's a decent rapper. He's a pretty good rapper. And I'm a hip hop head, so I gotta call it like I see it. If you whack, I'm gonna say it. He's not whack, but he is a caricature. He's the boss, but he was a corrections officer. He wasn't a boss. Not that I'm aware of. The real Rick Ross was the boss, and that's why he took his name. But um, you know, man, I got a lot to say about a lot of rappers. So back to the crypto ball. Um, and interestingly enough, during or shortly thereafter, the crypto ball, Trump came out with something called a meme coin, and it shot to $32 billion or something. Not per meme coin, but I think that's the market cap or the total value of the uh, the coin. And a lot of people in crypto are up in arms about it, which is funny because they were at the crypto ball, and while they were there, Trump rolls out a coin, and they're like, "Wow, how could you do that? You're destabilizing, um, what we're trying to do here," which is funny because Trump doesn't have any allies. His only allies himself. Um, and so I caught Jamie Dimon, CEO of Chase Manhattan, on must have been Sunday morning, CBS Sunday morning last week, and he's not a fan of crypto. He said basically it's based in nothing. It has no real intrinsic value, and it's used for a lot of shady things. So he's not a fan, which I wouldn't see. I can't see a Wall Street guy, um, J.P. Morgan, Chase Manhattan guy, being a fan of anything that would be a direct competitor of the millions of dollars that they control. So that's no surprise to me. But so Snoop performed, Nelly performed, Rick Ross performed, and me personally, I was indifferent. I wasn't going to say anything about it because I don't care who performs and or why. It was interesting that uh, video of Snoop when Trump was elected the first time is making the rounds where he said who's going to be the first Uncle Tom to go and perform, and now he went and performed. So I haven't heard any comments from Uncle Snoop. I don't know if I'm missing it or if he just hasn't said anything yet. But excuse me. But I haven't heard him. I haven't heard him reply about his participation in this um, circus. But Nelly, old country grandma, I'm gonna call him country Bamma. Bama's my word when I don't want to say the N word. I don't like saying the N word in mixed company. What we say in the house is one thing, but when we get out in public, we have to watch what we say. That's just how I was raised and how I think. Because I don't want any person not of our culture to feel like they can repeat what they're hearing. I'm one of the guys that when rap lyrics are going on, if it's anybody that's not of the culture around and they're repeating the words, I look at them when the N words, when I know it's coming up, I look at them and I'm like, do it. No, I'm just playing. Or am I? Anyway, so Nelly, Country Bama, he went on Willie D show, Willie D from the Ghetto Boys. Shout out to the Ghetto Boys. Shout out to Uncle Face. who I had the uh, extreme pleasure of seeing live last year when he came to Raleigh to do the Tiny Desk tour. Um, One that was a great night. Other than I'm getting too old to have to stand up, but I was in the place and I saw Uncle Face. Shout out to Uncle Face. Shout out to Willie D. Willie D is solid from what I can tell. But Nelly went on Willie D's show and made an ass of himself. I'm just go ahead and say that. And I'm gonna say this for all the rappers. If you don't know what the fuck you talking about, shut up. If you're gonna talk about music, and I'm gonna talk about another one in a minute. I'm not gonna go as hard on him as I'm going on Nelly, but I want to talk about him too. And it hurts me to do it, but I got to. Um, if you don't have any education in an area, it is quite okay for you to shut the fuck up. And this is to you, country grandma. And tell him I said it. I don't care. Um, please tell him. If you don't know what you're talking about, just hush. And I would respect you way more if you just be honest and be like, look, I got money problems. I need the money. I can respect that because we all do things that we don't necessarily do now. Don't go too far with that. But I mean, as far as going, if you got a job, you might not necessarily want to go to work every day, but you got to do it. So I understand that we all need money to live in this system of capitalism. Okay, I'm not against getting your bag, but don't come out here and try to sound educated and defend bullshit, which is what you did. You talking about, oh, um, I I don't have no. This is what all y'all dummies say, and I'm gonna call y'all dummies, and you take it however you want. I don't care. You know, I ain't hard to find. If it's that big of an issue, we could talk about it. Whatever. Show me something. This is what people say about the president elect. Is he racist? Show me something he done. And this is what Nelly said. Okay, he didn't rent to black people before. Do he rent to them now? See, I'm gonna quote Dr. John Howard Clark. The more you talk, the more you prove what it is you do not know. So when you out of your depth, it's just like being in the pool. If you can't swim, stay out the deep end. Stay out the deep end because you're gonna drown. Um, and he said, "Oh, was he the one who said if you ain't black if you don't vote for him?" Talking about Joe Biden making the comment on the Breakfast Club, which was a bad comment, but in the grand scheme of things, like I can't understand y'all. I can't understand this the place we're at now where what happens is one side, and I guess maybe both sides, they say crazy shit and then they say, but look at them. Look at what they doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't focus on what I'm doing. Look at what they're doing. And that's kind of why we're in the place we're at now because nobody wants to take responsibility for their shit. And one thing, I'm not perfect by any means, and I'm not the smartest man in the world either. But one thing about me, if I say something, I own it, and I own and usually I have done some research, which everybody says they do research, and research is not YouTube from a goofy who listened to another goofy who didn't even graduate high school. I hate that shit. I hate it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, um, brother, something, something, something. I don't want to make up a name because I may offend a group or something. But said this, and the first thing I say is, where in the hell did he get it from? Did he just make it up? Because see, the problem is you got these Bambas like Joe Rogan, Alex Jones is one of the main offenders. They give you a little bit of truth with a whole lot of bullshit. You know, They make up all kind of crazy. They start out, but it starts out truthful, and then it goes into this rabbit hole that's weird as hell. There's no proof. Um, there's no scholarly research on the shit, and then people just pick it up and just it spreads like wildfire. You know, like they say, the truth will be halfway around the world. No, a lie will be halfway around the world before the truth gets its pants on. And I'm just afraid with all of um the AI shit and the video augmentation shit that people that don't know how, that have done no scholarship on anything and just take whatever they hear and run with it are gonna be in a lot of trouble. My granddaddy told me, you know, believe half of what you believe, none of what you hear and half of what you see. So I've always operated under that. And he also told me that camera will make a fool out of you. Well, it's not the camera now, it's the phone. Because people say all kind of wild shit. They say wild shit, one, because of ignorance, two, because they want followers and likes. And this is coming from somebody who, you know, my videos get 10 views. So and this is also coming from someone who does not have his cash app in the ticker, because I'm not doing this for that. I'm doing it because I want to connect with like-minded people, and I want to live long enough to see the liberation of my people. And when I say liberation, I mean I want to see a world where we don't have to get permission to determine our own destiny. And it's a lot. We see a lot of that now. But you know, so Nelly was talking about, and then he talked about the crime bill. Okay, the crime bill. I always remember what Bill Clinton said when he was pressed about the crime bill. He said that the reason they enacted the crime bill was because they were getting cries from leaders and leaders, political leaders and spiritual leaders in the black community. So it reminds me of the ancestor Alton Maddox, attorney at war, who said, when you go to the government with a social issue, be prepared to get a business solution. Um, so and a good example of that is integration. We went to, when I say we, I mean black people, we went to the government saying we want equal rights. What they gave us was equal consumer rights. We weren't equal, but we were allowed to go into stores and restaurants and sit in the same places in the bus and sit in the front, you know. So these were all economic consumer things. These were consumer rights. These weren't necessarily rights um as citizens of this country. You know, it was right to spend your money, but you know, as far as, you know, housing and um education and employment, it it didn't really address those issues. So um when the black community during the crack era, um mid 80s, when it really got started, 85, 86, where, depending on where you were in the country, you know, it ravaged the black community. And let's go back to Rick Ross. When Rick Ross went to trial, it was found out what? That his supplier was working for who? The government of the United States of America. They was bringing that shit in here on C-130 airplanes, dropping it off in LA, and Rick was distributing it all over the country. So at the same time, they were telling us, just say no, Nancy Reagan, they was bringing the shit in here. You know what I'm saying? Um, so so it ravaged the black community, and the leaders of the community were saying, "Hey, y'all, please do something. You know, we got crackheads, we got crazy violence. Please, government, can you intervene?" So the government's solution was to lock every damn body up: the addicts, the dealers, you know, the mamas, everybody that touched it, and to make sure that they locked everybody up. They passed these draconian laws. I forget what it's called now. It wasn't Rockefeller laws. Um, but anyway, you would get more time for the same amount of crack that you that you if you had it in powder, because black people use crack because it was cheaper. So, that disproportionately affected the black community. And there's plenty of research on that. I know I probably didn't articulate it the best, but so the black leaders, the preachers, and the aldermen and the city council people, and all the upstanding black folks, they went to the government and said, hey, please do something about this crack in our neighborhoods. And the government solution was to lock everybody up. So you have to be careful. I say that to say you have to be careful when you go to the government asking them for solutions. You need to be specific. Now, it probably would have been more humane to give treatment to the people on crack. And if you eliminate the customer, then who is the dealer going to sell it to? Because it is in my opinion, it's a public health issue. It's not a criminal. Drug addiction is not a criminal issue, in my opinion. It's a public health issue, and you should treat it as such. And I think we would have been more further along than we are if we did that. But strangely enough, when the oxy, and the opioid epidemic hit, we got more humane, didn't we? And a skeptic like me would say that's because of who it was affecting. It was affecting Appalachia and suburbia and people who don't look like us. So they said, "Oh, this is a public health emergency. We need to treat these people." Not the same attitude when it was crack and it was in the black community. And you can fact check me on that, please. But back to Nelly. This is all I want to say to Nelly. If I was joking on social media earlier today, and I said, Nelly ain't my cup of tea. I'm a hip hop guy. I've never bought a Nelly anything. I ain't never bought no apple bottoms. The funny thing to me is, I want to see the numbers. Did he sell more records or more apple bottom jeans? Because it's pretty funny for a hardcore rap dude to be selling women's jeans. You know what I mean? They don't go together, but whatever. You get your money. I'm not hating on you. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to social issues and politics and the law, shut the fuck up. Shut up, Nelly. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed for Ashanti. I can't believe that she went from Irv Gotti to you. From one dummy to another. I'm on my Cat Williams. I don't care. I'm gonna talk about you. But I only talk about you if you misrepresent our people on a public platform. I'm very slow to criticize black people publicly because I know we all got issues and we all, just trying to figure it out. But when you take it upon yourself to go on a public platform and talk about shit you don't know that could negatively impact me or my community, then I'm gonna have to check you. And I'm gonna check you every time. So if you don't want me to check you, don't say it where I can see it. You know, um, if I see it, I'm gonna say something about it. If you don't like it, don't say it. And if you want to have a debate on it, I got a platform right here. We can have a debate. Now, is Nelly gonna call me and say, Dale Cleasy, I heard you had words about me? No, Nelly will never see this. But I don't care. I said it, and I mean it. So, yeah. So Nelly, this is how I want you to do it, and it reminds me of a joke from Dave Chappelle. By the way, Dave Chappelle, he did it again with the monologue for Saturday Night Live. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I love Dave. I love comedians, especially black comedians. They're one of our only uh, groups of truth tellers, and it's funny a lot of times, but it's funny because it's true. And so he did the monologue, um, for Saturday Night Live this past Saturday, and he was excellent once again. He's a great storyteller. He was in his Dick Gregory bag. I noticed it because I'm a student, so to speak, of comedy, and he had the cigarette and the suit on, looking like brother Dick Gregory. So you know, paying respect to the those that came before him, which Dave always does. Dave's solid. Um, he doesn't waver on issues when it comes to race. Um, so yeah. So Nelly, stop talking. Stop talking. Talk about apple bottom jeans and boots with the fur. I know that ain't your song. I know whose song that is, but you sold the apple bottom. Talk about those. Talk about the real husbands of Hollywood, and get those writers to help you before you go on social media making an ass out yourself, because you're making yourself look stupid. Um, you're making us look stupid, and I ain't gonna have that. Not not without saying something about it. Not like I'm gonna come find you and that. I ain't that deep. But I'm gonna definitely call you out. And staying with calling people out. This one is a little tougher for me. Lord Jamal, the God. The hell happened to you, God? What happened to you? I became aware of you saying some interesting some interesting stuff during the presidential election that you had to say about Vice President Harris, and you ain't had to vote for. I don't. I ain't. One thing I'm proud of myself. I didn't fall out with nobody about the candidates or the results of this election. I'm so proud of myself because 8 years ago I might have, but I'm learning, still learning. Um, but you ain't have to call out a name, and I mean you were very disrespectful in the way that you talked about Vice President Harris, and you know y'all can debate her ethnicity all you want to. When I look at her, she a black woman. She looked like one of my aunts, um, or a cousin. I know her mother was Indian and her father's Jamaican. As far as I'm concerned, for all intents and purposes, Jamaican people are, well, not for all intents and purposes, Jamaican people are African people. And I think I talked on this podcast before. I went to Jamaica, and you know, I know it's probably part of the tourism spiel, but when I got off the plane, the first thing they said to me was "Welcome home," and I could tell, like, I was on the resort, and they're supposed to be friendly, but like, I felt the kinship with the people in Jamaica. So, um, Marcus Garvey is Jamaican. I can go down the list of people who are Jamaican of Jamaican descent that live in America, especially in hip hop. And I don't know of them making any distinction between Black Americans and Jamaicans. I don't see that. You know what I'm saying? So if they are on that, I'm gonna take it case by case, and if they act like that, then I'm not gonna mess with them. But like, Jamaicans are black. Marcus Marcus Garvey's black. Bob Marley's black. Um, you know, I don't. And Bob Marley's half white, like Obama. His daddy was a white man, but he's still black to me because of the way he carried himself and what he sung about. And what he said about social issues. He went to Zimbabwe. He wrote a song about Zimbabwe when they regained their independence. So like, Africa unite. Like, all this dumbass FBA and I'm sorry, Tariq. I don't dislike you, but like, I don't like the damn division. Um FBA and ADOS, the new kids on the block, which they really are, because it's people that's been doing this reparations work for a long time. So this is what I say, to be specific, so that you understand it's not a diss to ADOS or FBA. On the issue of reparations for descendants of slaves in this country, it is singularly a citizen issue. So what I'm saying is, if you are a Black American who is a citizen, a natural born citizen of this country and a descendant of African slaves, then this is your issue. For everything else related to the diaspora, it's a diaspora issue. So I don't like, and I say that full well knowing that there's a lot of African immigrants that come here that don't mess with us. And I don't mess with them either. But there are some that do, because I hear them. And you know, hopefully, if everything goes like I hope it goes, I'm going to the motherland this year, and I'll be able to tell you much better what they own. You know what I mean? And if I go over there and they own that shit, then I'm gonna come back and say it. I ain't got no problem. I'm gonna tell the truth. You know, it's enough people lying. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, but I don't like that. I don't like the divisiveness. You know, and I caught Dr. Gerald Horn again. If you don't know who he is, you should. One of our most brilliant scholars. Um, Caught him on Carl Nelson, and he said the way for us to win in our movement or struggle is for us to internationalize the struggle. That means connecting with people in the diaspora, people in the Caribbean, people in South America, people in on the continent proper, people in, of African descent all over the place. One blood. That, if we think that way, we're not a minority. And shout out to the Sahel region. They raising hell with the French. Peace be upon them, and I hope they're successful. Ashe. Ibrahim Traore, leader of Burkina Faso, a disciple of Thomas Sankara. If you don't know who those people is, you should find out. But they getting their shit together. They're kicking the French's ass, and they're kicking them the hell out of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And they are finally coming to the realization that they are mineral rich, and if they cut off the supply to Europe is going to be in trouble. So the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. And those who were last that are going to first, that's not a bad transition. But those that were first that's going to last, the shit gonna hurt. Hope you know it. And it's karma. All things stay alive. All things change around. You know. So yeah. So Lord Jamar said some wild, disrespectful stuff about Vice President Harris. Called her the B word, all kind of things. But he got on this flat earth dumb shit and ran up on this gentleman named Professor Dave, who evidently is a scholar of astrology and geology. He's a scientist, and it was on Godfrey's show, and Lord Jamal looked like the dumbest member of the 5% Nation that I ever seen. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, I mean, and I was quiet when he said what he said about Vice President Harris. I was trying not to disrespect the guy, because I love Brand Nubian. When I say I love Brand Nubians, I mean I love them. Grand Poobah, Sadat, Alamo, and Lord Jamar. And I got a lot of respect for him, but I can't co-sign that shit you're doing now, Lord Jamar. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But again, everybody is not qualified to speak about everything. And I get in debates all the time. But when I get into an area where I don't know anything about it, this is how I get out of it. I don't know. It's easy. It's 3 words. I don't know. And I have to research that and get back to you. You don't have to try to make up shit as you go along because you're making yourself look bad. You're making us look bad. And it's a trip, right? Because when you black and you on a national platform, you carrying the hopes and dreams of everybody black. And we sitting in the background saying, please don't make a fool out yourself. Please don't. They already think we're dumb. Please don't reinforce that thought. That's what we think. And it's tough. It's a lot of pressure. But you know, the way you avoid making an ass out yourself is when you don't know what you're talking about, shut the hell up. It's very simple. So, you know, Lord Jamal, I love you. I love you. Nelly, not so much. Lord Jamal, I love you though. I've been down since, all for one. I've been down since the All for One album, for real. Like I was in high school and that was my joint. Um, and I heard y'all was on the yard at Shaw for homecoming, and I wish I could have been there because I love to meet y'all. But like, if I meet you, Lord Jamal, man, she's God, you all right? Everything good? I mean, I'm just checking because you lunching, you on lunch spot status. Sorry to say. I mean, so anyway, tomorrow is Martin Luther King Day. No other special events that I'm aware of that are going on. Um, off a quote from Dr. King. Couldn't find the one that I wanted about. I post it all the time. I should know it by heart. It's about black people who are pushed up into leadership positions by the white establishment and how they become buffers between the masses of the people and the establishment instead of being a fighter for the people. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's one of my favorite quotes because it just speaks about um, how these leaders are selected because they are milk toast and they'll go along with what their master tells them. And we don't have enough of that. Um, I'm not about that. I'm not going to co-sign that. And if I think you're doing that, I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna tell you that now. I'm calling like I'm too. I'm at the point in my life where if I feel like something is true, I'm gonna just speak it and let the chips fall where they may. But we've gone too long letting people just say whatever they want to say and feel like they can say it because they have some kind of title or some kind of prestige. I don't give a damn what your title is. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Same for me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Um, but you don't impress me, and you can't double talk me. You can't jump from one subject to another because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna catch you slipping. I'm gonna catch you slipping. So the best thing for you to do is, be mindful. Be mindful of what you say. I try to be mindful of what I say. I try to be mindful of what I say, and I try to be mindful of the way I say it to people because you never know who you're talking to. Number one, it could be Hannibal Lecter or somebody of that nature, and you're never gonna win anybody over by being disrespectful. So I try not to disrespect people unless I feel like I'm being disrespected. That's just me. Um, so yeah, Nelly and Lord Jamal. I mean, yeah, I might want to. I made a joke that Duncan Hines Drake hosts Cupcake. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. And who was it? Who was the other one that was doing something crazy? I can't remember now. But I said Drake and Jim Jones. Jim Jones and Cameron had another dust up, and I don't know why people keep trying to mess with Cameron. Like you need to have your stuff together where you come at him too. So I said Jim Jones and Drake was gonna form a super group with DJ Envy backing them up called Ponytail Hearts. They moist. Uh, I said it. I don't care. Whatever. Uh, so I guess Lord Jamal and Nelly gonna form a group too called Country Bammas. I don't know what fake scholars and assholes. I don't know what you gonna call yourself, but whatever. But like, chill. Y'all chill for real. For real. Like, don't you know? If you're doing wild stuff and you get caught, just admit it. Don't try to defend it. That's what I mean. I'm not perfect, and when I do stuff wrong, I try to apologize and admit it immediately, so it don't keep coming. What you're gonna do by defending is make people mad and make people attack. That's why I had to give you this work today, because you try to defend that dumb shit, Nelly. You know, so how many times I said Nelly? If you do a search for Nelly, maybe I'll come up. Maybe I'll get some hits. Anyway, yep. Last thing I want to talk about is looks like this. Well, TikTok went offline and came back, and people were panicking. I'm not sitting in judgment of anybody that uses TikTok. I think it's a ploy to try to extort TikTok from China and uh, give it to the billionaire class that is going to be taking over the White House. And one thing before coming up on an hour, look into these three people: David Sacks, SACKS, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. Look into those three people, and see what connection they have, and see what you find out. You know, Elon and Ramaswamy are going to be the heads of the Department of Government Efficiencies. No such thing. They're just creating acronym is DOGE, which is a cryptocurrency. Should be fine, you know. And Elon is just for the record. Elon owns his own global communications network. It's called Starlink. He owns his own space program, SpaceX. He owns his own mind-altering company, Neuralink. He owns his own automobile manufacturing company, Tesla. And he owns his own social media platform, X. Only thing he don't have is a military. That's the only thing he's missing. He can have his own world. So seems like he's being given the keys to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So let's see what happens. Should be great. I think it's gonna be fine. But yeah, Israel and Hamas called a ceasefire. It's supposed to go in effect today or tomorrow. They release some hostages. Deal had been on the table since May. Wonder why they waited until now to execute it. I don't know the answer to that, but I would like for some feedback on what people think about why they did that. Why now was the situation so promising, or why was the timing right now and it wasn't right in May? And I know somebody will say, because Trump, everybody's scared of Trump. He's a badass. Yeah, he is. He sure is. But yeah, so 59 minutes and 8 seconds, coming right up on an hour. No, I was kind of wild this time, and I really didn't prepare anything. January's been a little wild for me on Sundays. Why it took me so long to do the first episode of the year. But have a happy Martin Luther King Day, and nothing else. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I see somebody gave me a thumbs up. I saw somebody was on earlier. I wish somebody would call in and talk to me. I'm lonely. Nah, I'm all right. I'm gonna be all right. I'm tough. You're tough, right? All right. Peace and love. Have a great week. I'll be back at you next week, same time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is Cleasy out. Peace.